In the last video, I previewed the NFL playoffs, talking about the strengths and weaknesses of every team. But in today's video, I'll be predicting the entire 2026 playoff bracket. Before I start, let me know in the comment section what your predictions are for the playoffs, and as you're watching, let me know where you disagree with me. But let's go ahead and get things started in the AFC, where there's some really interesting wildcard matchups. On Monday night, the Texans will face the Steelers in Pittsburgh. I've seen a lot of people pick the Steelers in this one, which surprised me. Their defense has been letting up big plays all year, including down the stretch versus Baltimore last week. Meanwhile, Houston is much younger, but still has experience, has a better defensive unit, and a quarterback that is proven to be solid in the playoffs. So to me, as long as Houston's able to generate big plays like we know they can, I think they'll end up taking this one. It'll be rough to see Aaron Rodgers end potentially his last year in the league like this, but I just don't think the Steelers are going to make it past the wildcard round. So once again, I think this one's pretty clear. I got the Texans on the road beating the Steelers. The next AFC matchup I want to talk about is Jaguars versus Bills. The Jaguars are clearly the more balanced team, but we know that the Bills' strengths come in that offensive backfield with Josh Allen and James Cook. The Jags are one of the hottest teams in the league, and I've seen people pick them to even make the Super Bowl. Sure, Josh Allen is incredible, and James Cook has the potential to go for 100 yards week in and week out. But I think it's just more likely that the Jags, with how consistent they've been throughout the year, will come out on top in this one. I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars in this one. The final wildcard matchup in the AFC is Patriots versus Chargers. I think this is actually a really good matchup for the Chargers. Their biggest weakness is their O-line, but New England's pass rush isn't one of their greatest strengths, so Justin Herbert could potentially push the ball downfield in this one. But honestly, as much as I want to pick the Chargers, I have to go with New England. I think this game is going to come down to the stretch, and I just trust New England more in these type of situations. I wouldn't be too surprised if this one went the other way, but I still believe in New England more than the Chargers, as they're the more complete team and have been winning consistently all year. I'm taking the Patriots at home over the Chargers. But let's move on to the NFC and start off with the matchup between the Rams and Panthers. The way the Rams played down the stretch of the season, who knows how this one goes. But at the end of the day, I think they're just too good of a team to lose to the Panthers for a second time this season. I think they've learned from their mistakes in terms of losing close games and even choking some games near the end. I think Matthew Stafford will limit his turnovers like he did earlier in the season, now that it's playoff time. And overall, I think the Rams are one of the most talented rosters left in the playoffs, and they could potentially go a long way. This will be a huge game for Bryce Young in determining how the rest of his career is going to go in Carolina, so I hope they can put up a solid fight, but I just don't see them getting the job done. This one isn't too hard for me. I'm taking the Rams over the Panthers. But moving on to the second NFC matchup, 49ers versus Eagles is easily a game that could come down to the wire. This Eagles offense is still a massive question mark for me, even against this banged up 49er defense. But unfortunately, I think that's going to be the downfall of the 49ers in this one. I don't trust their offense enough to make up for their subpar defense, especially with the turnover-prone Brock Purdy at quarterback, who might be asked to carry this offense in this game. The Eagles probably won't make this one look pretty, but I'm still taking them at home over the 49ers. And as for the final wildcard matchup, Bears versus Packers, this one all depends on how the Bears offense executes. We've seen how dangerous this team is when they have momentum, but will they be able to execute on offense versus the Packers? I think the answer to this question is a yes for me. With Micah Parsons hurt, we saw how much this defense regressed down the stretch. And while the offense might still remain balanced with Jordan Love, I don't think this is a good matchup for Green Bay against a dynamic Bears offense. So in his first career playoff start, I got Caleb Williams and the Bears at home over the Packers. But where things really get interesting is the divisional round. We've already talked about the strengths and weaknesses of every team still left, so I'll be going through this pretty fast. In the AFC, originally I was going to pick the Jaguars on the road over the Patriots, but I've changed my mind last second. I think this Patriots offense is just too dynamic and is going to be too much for the Jaguars. I think this one's going to come down to the wire, and it's going to be a close game, but I think the Patriots are going to hold on and get the win. As for the second AFC matchup, Texans versus Broncos, I think the Texans are just peaking at the right time right now and are playing like the best team in the NFL. The Broncos defense might be better on a down-to-down basis, but the Texans defense is able to create turnovers, and I think they'll be able to make Bo Nix uncomfortable. While on the other side, I trust CJ Stroud in the playoffs, as he's shown before that he's able to come up big in these big moments. But let's go ahead and move over to the NFC, where there's some really interesting matchups as well. I don't think the Eagles are a top 4 team in the NFL, but I still think they're going to be able to make it to the conference championship. I think their path to the championship game isn't too difficult. I think beating Chicago is something they will be able to do. Even though Chicago beat them earlier in the season, I think the Eagles are battle-tested and ready for this type of atmosphere, while the Bears are still 1 year away. And as for the final divisional round matchup, I think this one is going to determine who makes it all the way to the Super Bowl. Rams versus Seahawks. And I got the Rams on the road getting the win. I know a lot of people have picked the Seahawks in this one. I just think the Seahawks defense is going to have a tough time stopping the Rams, as we saw in the 2 matchups earlier this season. And overall, I just trust Matthew Stafford a lot more than Sam Darnold in this game. But with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the conference championship matchups. Let's start in the NFC because I basically spoiled who I have winning in this one. I said the winner of Rams Seahawks would go all the way to the Super Bowl, and I think the Rams are going to get the job done versus Philly. I think Philly is just no match for this Rams offense, even though the Eagles have a solid defense themselves. And I think the Rams defense is going to be able to hold up the Eagles offense just enough. And even with the Rams being a 5 seed, not even winning their own division, I have them making it all the way to the Super Bowl. And in the AFC is a similar story. I have the Texans on the road getting the win over New England. I think New England is just a year away, similar to Chicago and even Denver. But Houston is here. They've been here before. CJ Stroud has been in this atmosphere before. And it's his time to make it all the way to the Super Bowl. This defense is incredible. And I think this offense is going to be able to do just enough to push them all the way to the Super Bowl. And that sets up a 5 versus 5 matchup between the Rams and Texans. And as good as this Texans defense is, I don't think anybody is going to be able to stop the Rams in the playoffs. I know it hasn't looked pretty for the Rams the last few weeks, but I'm banking on the fact that Matthew Stafford's able to turn it up come playoff time. And we know how good Puka Nacua can be. And with Devontae Adams back, this team should have no problems in the red zone. I think they're the most complete team in football from top to down on both sides of the ball. And as great as the Texans defense is, and as solid as their offense can be at times, I don't trust them to be consistent enough to defeat the Rams in this one. So there you have it. I'm sorry to all the Rams fans in advance for jinxing their team, but I have them winning the Super Bowl. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did enjoy, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Let me know in the comment section what you think of this video and whether or not you think the Rams are inevitably going to win the Super Bowl. But thank you all for watching this one, and I'll see you all in the next video.